to the VRS podcast. My name is Philip Stamm. I'm your host tonight, and we have a guest here, Mr. Mitchell deJong. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're always welcome. Maybe the viewers don't know you that well, or wonder why we are sitting together on a table. Maybe first of all, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. I'm Mitchell deJong. I'm a sim racer for Coanda Simsport. Done a lot of real racing and sim racing in kind of my lifetime now, and here we are having a nice conversation.
Yeah, cool. For the people, I think it would be good to know where your roots are. You before you even started sim racing, you did a little bit of real racing. You started in the age of 5. How did that go? What did you do?
For me, I've kind of always grown up around a racing background. My dad's worked for different teams in his kind of lifetime, and working for Celine and things like that. Ended up having his own off-road sand car business. So really, I kind of grew up around the shop, working on cars and things like that. So I just kind of had it in my blood from the beginning. I kind of remember when I was 5 years old, I happened to see motorcycles on TV. And I asked my parents if I could do it. Thankfully, they said no, because I think I have a lot less injuries nowadays because of that.
Probably.
I next saw go-karts and asked if I could do it. Thankfully, they said yes this time. And really, that's how it started. Did that for a number of years, and that's kind of the root of everything.
Okay, so you did go-kart. How long did you do go-kart?
I would say from the age of 5 all the way to 11. That was kind of my stint in karting. In between that, I started getting into more off-road style of racing, off-road short course more specifically. So it's very similar to road racing, where it's not just like a dirt oval. You have right turns as well, jumps, and they're trucks and buggies. So a little bit different. I would say the karts that I were in at the time are very similar to go-karts, just, obviously they're made for jumping and whatnot. So, that was my kind of step there when I was turning 9 to 10. That's when I started getting into the off-road side, kind of ending that kind of stint in go-karts, and, kind of taking me on a journey for a good number of years, 4 or 5 really, in off-road. So a nice little switch up.
Okay, most people know that in the off-road stuff there was also an Xgames gold medal. How did that come together? It was, I think, in the lights cars in RallyCross, but you also drove the Pro 2 trucks, as far as I know. Also, I don't know the Pro 4 trucks. You know better than me.
So kind of towards the end of my time in off-road, I was 14 at the time. Mm-hmm. It was basically my first year in a pro division in that side of things. You really had to be 16 to be in these cars, more specifically a buggy. And I got approved early, thankfully, to take part at 14. Did that for 1 year, and we won the championship. Went way better than expected. Actually, taking a quick step back, a couple of years before that, randomly, kind of my mom got an email, just ended up in her spam folder, and it actually was from Red Bull. And, that kind of was the spark to a very long partnership with them. So this is very important for the story, knowing that when I turned 15, this new class opened up in something called RallyCross. I've always been a huge fan of Xgames. Watching Travis Pastrana, Tanner Faust, Colin McRae, all those guys. I loved the head-to-head stuff. I loved their personalities, of course, and always dreamed of being in something like that. And this class came up. Red Bull was absolutely instrumental in getting me in there. Of course, it takes a lot of money to run those cars. Would have no chance of running those if it weren't for them. Obviously, my parents played a huge part as well. You know, I was 14 at the time, so it's quite difficult for me to put together deals. And no, just kind of that was the step. RallyCross is really cool for me because growing up in racing karts, racing off-road, also in between those two things, I started getting into legend oval pavement racing.
Okay. And
kind of with RallyCross, it kind of combines the best of, you know, all three worlds, right? You know, you take a little bit of each with disciplines, how you have to drive them. And I think that's what I loved about RallyCross. It's just a nice, you know, combination, putting them all together. So,
I mean, this will probably for the listeners or maybe viewers will explain a lot why you're driving even today in so many different world championships, and you are basically a multidiscipline monster. Not gonna lie, but yeah, then there came the Xgames up. I think you participated in two, as far as I know, right? The gold medal you won in the first or the second try?
The second. First one is silver.
Okay. And then I mean, during all this, you started also sim racing.
Yes.
So when did you start with this?
Right. So actually, about the same time that I started in RallyCross, you know, I kind of realized that racing these cars, especially the team that was taking care of them, was actually from Sweden. So really, there's no chance that you get to actually practice outside of the race weekend. You know, for me and, you know, anyone, realize how important practice is for these things. You know, you get very limited time in the actual session, maybe like 10, 15 laps before you're lining up for the first heat race. So being able to adapt quickly, understanding the car, what the car needs with setup and everything is just massive. And the really only thing that I could think of is sim racing. One of my good friends from off-road racing, CJ Greaves, back in 2012, kind of introduced me to iRacing from the beginning. Just invited me over one day. He's like, hey, found this new game. Come try it out. He lived like 3 minutes away from me near my home. So, you know, that was kind of the start of that. And I would say within a month, I had my own account. I was starting to plan out my own rig, building my own computer at like 14. And I was hooked from the beginning. I would say I didn't really take it serious in a competitive light equal to real racing up until maybe 2014 for me, maybe end of 2013. But I used it as a training tool up until that point. You know, it's pretty clear to me from the beginning.
So use it as a training tool to just get fit, to prepare for races. So that means what tools did you use back then to like get used to it, or did you just decide for a car track combo and then just like practice your senses in this way? Yeah,
no, pretty much like you said on the last point. You know, kind of looking back at like me driving a bunch of different things, I just loved racing in general. So pretty much I was racing everything on the sim. Of course, we didn't have like dirt oval or RallyCross at the time, like dirt road that we do nowadays. But I was pretty much driving everything, really just for fun with some friends, which is, I think, the best way to do it. You got to have fun with whatever you do.
Of course.
And yeah, just kind of trying stuff out. Never really stuck with one series trying to be competitive. Just like, you know, oh, this looks like a fun combo. Let's just run it all week and just have some fun with it. I would say end of 2013, season 4, that was the first time I actually put a full season in one kind of car track combo. Series. Yeah. And it was the Grand M Sports Car Series Daytona Prototype.
Okay.
You know, that was cool. I think that was the turning point for me, where I realized, like, man, I can get my racing fix just to sim racing, even though I'm still using it as a training tool. At that time, I was on the verge of progressing into the supercar class in RallyCross. Mm-hmm. It was like I was just loving it. It, you know, like you have a few weekends in the year where you're, you know, doing real racing, 12 weekends or something. However, there's a lot of other weekends that you're not. And, you know, I felt like I was racing the whole year just because I took it just as serious.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, I mean, we come later to this point, but even to fix your races and to fix your schedules, I mean, we had something planned while we visited even in California for this, to make something work, but sadly it worked out differently, but the books were the flights were booked, so all good in this regard. But then you started casually, and then you progresses. I mean, you drove your first full season, but then you joined a team on iRacing. Which team was it?
So the very first team I joined was Orion Race Team. At the time, one of my main competitors in that Grand Am Sports Car Series, George Sandman, was just really cool guy. We're actually talking about today on a walk, and you know, just had a lot of fun battling with them, and came up to run the Daytona 2.4. This was back before we had driver swaps on iRacing, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to run it with the team?" And you know, he kind of got me into that team, my first pro level team. Super cool. You know, that event went really well. Joined the team officially, and pretty much like a month later, just realized that, oh, the Pro Series starts, or the qualifiers to get into Pro for you know, the road side of things on iRacing starts. Ran that with Orion. Had no expectations. I knew it was like a super difficult road because I've never driven really anything other than that Daytona prototype competitively.
Sorry to interrupt you here, but I think those were the times where you had the regular seasons, and you had to qualify in the season for the Pro Series. You were already allowed to drive certain races, right?
Yes.
As with a pro license, and then you needed to drive the Pro Series to get a WCS license. Okay. So in what season did you then qualify for the Pro Series? In like season, I mean, Daytona was probably at the beginning of the year, so...
Yes. So...
Season 1?
Yeah, Daytona was 2014, beginning of the year. Season 1 is when I got my license of 2014 in the Grand Prix Series at the time, the Class A Series. And we had Pro Series at the very end, Season 4. But the cool thing about getting it in Season 1 there, you know, you have your pro license that will allow you to try to qualify into races. So if there's not a full grid of World Championship guys, you can, you know, grab some points. So luckily I got to do, I think 3 or 4. And my whole mission was just to try to like get enough points in those races to be top 20 so that I didn't have to do the Pro Series. I could just be in it, be done with it, and just, you know, already
Did you make it in the end?
I didn't. I was 28th or something.
Oh, okay.
So...
Yeah, I mean, could have been worse. I mean, this is how it goes today. I mean, you have your one Pro Series at the end of the year, 4 weeks. I mean, a month, and then after this, you are either work the whole year to try to be in, or you're out. And then, you did the Pro Series, and you switched teams at that point.
Correct. I would say the Pro Series was a very stressful time for me. Of course, it went really, really well. I don't think I could have asked for a better kind of championship in that. And it was also where I felt like I kind of needed to take the next step. I knew that the World Championship Series was going to be extremely difficult. Just being in, you know, the series that same year, being in those few. I knew the amount of preparation would be immense, and just kind of randomly, you know, I was chatting with Justin Lindsay at the time. He was also in the Pro Series, which is part of you guys, and you know, we were just running some laps together, and you know, it really never came up until towards the end when we were chatting about like team situation and all that, and just reached out, be like, hey, this is kind of when Coanda was formed, when I guess you guys switched from i3ID. And, you know, I knew that you guys were going to be a very technically smart team full of insanely good drivers. And I don't know, it was really a dream to be a part of it. So when I got the invite to join you guys, that was I was like, my mind is blown.
Yeah, and then you joined, and what would you say was the difference between the working, especially in those, I mean, when you had the fresh experience like it was before in other teams, what would you say is the difference, or the working, we work at Coanda to like other teams around you?
I guess it's not super easy for me to say, as I've really only been a part of 2 teams total, including Coanda. One is Orion, and I mean, for me, like, Coanda is still like the most ideal like workplace with this stuff. I just think of it like you have many of the best sim racers in the world that are willing to put in so much work for each round, no matter what. Like, if one of us feels that we're lacking a little pace for an event, I can think to the Le Mans 24 in, was it 2019, I believe?
Yeah. When we were the only Audi out of nowhere in the field.
Yep.
And,
it was kind of like that, we were unsure on what car to pick. It was like Wednesday, the race is Saturday, and we just put in like, an overnight effort where it was like Martin to me to Josh, and we were all in different time zones. Yeah. And we just, at the end of it, I
think I calculated it together. It was like 140 hours just between you 4 guys.
Yep.
In like 3 days.
It's crazy.
It's like insane. I mean, it was basically 24/7 working. I think Meg was there, Pash and Ricardo as well. So that's why we come to the hours. We're talking about everyone here.
Yep.
I mean, this was insane because we basically just decided Wednesday to do the race.
Yeah.
And we had no clue about the balance of performance between the Audi and the Porsche. We did races in both.
Yep.
This made us even more unsure than we were before.
Yep. I remember doing a race, I think on like Thursday, and I was like, oh man, I'm like a second off of like the top Porsche guys. But I think that's just what I love about the team. Like, I love grinding. I just, even if it's like a fun game, I just love the grinding aspect. And it's kind of the same with this. That's the cool part. We have a lot of members, but they're all like-minded, all very good, and positive atmosphere. Like, you really can't ask for much better.
And then the race obviously worked out with us being the only Audi in the whole split. I think there was one more.
I think Mivano
had one race as well. Yeah, but we were basically as fast as everyone else, but out of nowhere we could go a lap longer than everyone around us, what gave us a huge benefit, obviously, over 24 hours. So it was a fun experience. And then coming back to the beginning, so you started in the iRacing F1 World Championship Series in the first year. How did those years, the first seasons, go for you? Like, it was then 15, 16, and so on.
It was a bit up and down. So in my few races in 2014 that I qualified into with a pro license, they went really well. I think I had a podium on my like second outing or something, and it was just like I couldn't believe how well it was going. I would say 2015 definitely took a step up in terms of competition. I remember putting in so much work, and we were fighting top 5 for a lot of races. I think we won three or four races in the first season, 2015. However, I didn't do a full season. This was still at the time when I was still very much into real racing. I had a full season with that, as well as into the next ones as well. 2016, the second full year that I didn't actually get to take part in a full year. I think I missed another good amount of races, but I think it also went with like a couple wins or something like that. Yeah, maybe. Can't really remember. But that was the first year of the new car, MP430. That was the cool part for the team. Yeah. That was a big learning thing because, you had, ERS and all kinds of other stuff that you had to think about now. And I think that was the first year.
I think in that year you had a lot of bad luck. Like I remember, was it Montreal that year where your PC in the warm-up lap, or like in the first lap of the race died and you just 90 degrees?
Yep.
Okay.
A lot of strange things.
Yeah.
It was honestly a very demotivating year.
Yeah.
But you know, those happen. It's kind of just how you come back from it. But you know, still though, wasn't full time for me. So you know, just trying to take part in both things and you know go with it. But I'm trying to think. 2017, I think that was the big turning point year for me. 2017 was the first year for me in the supercar class in RallyCross. So the time it was, you know, Red Bull, Honda, factory team, all out in the US, full season in that, as well as in that 2016, 2017 winter time, we also qualified for the Blancpain GT series.
Yeah. That's right. Well, we together on one.
Yeah, we won a pro race together.
Yeah, that's right.
You, Rocco, Dave, and me.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
One car. 2017, yeah. So full season in Blancpain GT World Championship after the Pro Series, we won.
Yeah. I think you couldn't then do all races in this year as well.
Correct.
I think I missed two. I had to do the last race with Dave, and there were some Dave things happening in that one. I mean, probably you guys follow the streams on Monday on the Virtual Racing School Twitch channel. Sometimes he has some problems with fuel calculations, but he wanted to make it sure. But it took a bit longer, so during the process of gridding, he was still calculating fuel, and so we had to start from the pit the last race. But we luckily still finished. We both together made it work that we finished the championship in P3.
Yeah, that's insane though.
Yeah.
Like, we also picked the Mercedes, which was not the best car that season. The McLaren was by far.
Well, it was definitely a bit better.
Yeah. But that was still super cool to finish there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, also had F1. Did as many races as I could. I was also very busy with real racing, so I think I missed a good 4 rounds out of like 12 or so. I can't remember where I finished in points. It was 5th or something, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think I won any races. 2017 was the year of Martin.
Yeah.
When he like flipped the switch, this guy like just couldn't be beat. Like pole position, fast lap, like he just had the whole package.
Yeah, and even if he's not standing on pole, his starts were so good. Every race in before turn 1, he was already in the lead. Yep. So
for me, like I had to work so hard in my like limited part-time schedule just to like finish within 10 seconds of Martin. Even if I'm second, like finishing 10 seconds of him is like, wow, that's a really good race. So,
especially with today racing with the Porsche. I mean, 10 seconds was not. I mean, was the normal gap Martin had almost to everyone
for sure.
I mean, and it was just a black and white thing, and like you said, like a switch for Martin. Because I mean, in the year before 2016, I mean, we had a lot of different winners. Championship was wide open till the end. Most people lacked on consistency there. But I remember Joni Termele had an insane good start of the season.
For sure.
With a couple of wins, and then you had Cracker, obviously. I mean, you never can count him out.
No.
Then obviously within the team we had some strong guys with you. And then the year after it was just, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, he was just every race. It's got boring to the end, to be fair.
I mean, I would have liked to win a few, but I mean, he deserved.
Yeah.
I mean, like all his titles and stuff like that. Incredible. I mean, like, I feel like his style is so like beautifully kind of just, it is for downforce cars. Like if you guys ever like watch him just drive even like an LMP1 car, it's just amazing to watch. It's incredible, the precision. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then we had the last year with the F1 car, 2018.
Yep.
I mean, I teased it before. We met in California because of this.
Yeah.
Year. Yep. Because this was the first year I remember where they could have done in theory all races.
Yes.
Except of one. But luckily, this race was in Long Beach.
Yep.
Planned at least at that time.
Yep.
So Jörn and me decided to help you out on that weekend to carry your rig home to like an Airbnb in Long Beach. But then it all came a bit different. So we watched at your home and spotted you and Martin from there.
Yep.
But maybe you explained the story. What happened there? I mean,
sure, yeah. 2018 was an interesting year. We came off of 2017 with a really great season in real life. Things were looking very good in the off season, with deals and whatnot heading into 18 in terms of real racing. However, a couple months into the season, into the year, really the series died. Just kind of out from nowhere, like the carpet pulled out from under everyone's feet. So that late into the season, there's just no chance to get anything together, no deals, kind of left everyone without anything to do for the year. However, thankfully for me, at that time, I was still heavily involved in sim racing. So, you know, it just kind of meant more time for me to spend on the sim. You know, I can actually do a full season and everything now. And, you know, obviously we didn't have to go through any crazy charades in the last round trying to get a rig out there and worry about internet. But you guys still had this trip planned. You had that spotting one from the home. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we won that race even. I think 1-2, right?
It was definitely Imola in that
Imola,
year.
it was.
It was Imola, and I think there was the fight going on with Berryman and Martin.
Yes.
You were in third.
Yep.
I think those both touched. Martin had to go through the gravel, and that's where you picked up the spots.
Yep. That was going to be an interesting race because, of course, as you guys do, you and Jörn are always on top of the strategy. So always, those races were so cool because of the strategy stuff.
Yeah.
Tires were just massive. So it kind of lets you guys go to work. And I think we were closing in like 10 to go or something. And we had a big tire advantage. I think I had like 1 lap on Martin, and then Martin had like 4 laps on Peter, and like the gaps are just closing so fast. But
and I think at that time we also always were driving different downforce trims than others, and I mean you had so many options, and always the races at the front worked out like in a way where like you really had to prepare for the whole race,
for sure,
where you had like your strategy set up and you needed to work after the strategy. So you needed, if you knew like medium downforce it is, then you need to drive the whole race from the get-go to make it work, and the other way around. There was no like huge switching in the strategy. So me and Jörn most of the time worked it out before, looked for the pit window that is there. Yep. But I mean, those times were a lot of fun, not gonna lie.
I love the F1 car. There's so much you could do with setup, strategy. Like, I don't know, for me it was like the pinnacle. I mean, of course, like, I think I'm a little bit biased because like being on Coanda, definitely like such a smart team with this stuff. So it's just so cool to see like the ins and out of it, of kind of like the setup building and the strategy stuff. Remember like our strategy sheets and all that for this stuff was just wild.
I still don't know what Jörn did there, but I mean, somehow he came always up with a curve where we pretty much could predict the tire drop off. So it was always pretty accurate.
Crazy.
Yeah, and then after that, I mean, I think this year was basically, I think, a pretty unique year when it comes to the to the results at the end. I mean, as far as I know, is you finished third in the VRS GT in the World Championship. Yep. You finished second in the F1, and you became world champion in RallyCross in the first year.
Yes. Yeah, that was a very hectic year. Even though we had no real racing, that just meant more sim racing. And we also got a RallyCross World Championship that I had to qualify for. More races, I believe, in VRS GT that year. Yeah. So all our endurance racing that we had to do. And it was a super busy year. It was like every weekend we were racing. Almost. And RallyCross was always on like a Tuesday or a Thursday, I think. So it was, a couple days before an endurance race or an F1 race, so you had to balance both.
And then in between the special events and
So 2018 was a very successful year, I would say. Like,
I think we have it still on our Twitter.
I think so. Yeah,
the picture with the 1, 2, 3 Andy Werner made.
Yep.
Because I mean, it's such a great achievement from like one driver, like 3. But this shows, I mean, what we discussed earlier. I mean, you growing up in karting.
Yep.
Rally trucks, off-road, a
Yep.
little bit of oval, and then we come to 2019 where we also add the last part, the
Yep.
oval, to the whole thing.
Yep.
So now you are even in the NASCAR Coca-Cola series.
Yeah. Well, shoot. There's, I guess we have 2019 still.
Yeah.
That was the first year of the Porsche Esports Supercup.
Yeah.
So it transitioned from the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series F1 thing to, Porsche. And we still had VRS GT, however, no longer GT3s, but GTEs.
Yeah.
So that was also a very hectic year. Had RallyCross as well, but that was towards the end of the year instead of being at the same time as the other two. So
Where did you finish in Porsche in the first year in the championship?
I believe fourth. It was like a 4-way battle heading into Mons in the last round.
Yeah. And I remember I think you fucked up qualifying.
I did. I was also very sick the whole week with the flu. I think we just got back from Frankfurt, was it? From the
automobile show.
Yes, that was it.
So, yeah.
And I think I caught something on the way back. So basically up until like that morning of the race, I didn't really drive at all. I was just stuck in bed, had a really bad flu. But, we still went for it. Unfortunately, I bounced off some curbs incorrectly in qualifying, started in the back. But I think we still got fifth in the end of the race, or seventh or something like that.
I think there was a huge crash going on out of the Lesmos in the first race.
Yep.
Where the whole field was caught up.
Yep.
And I think you sneaked through there.
Yes. Big avoidance.
Yeah, and then I think then in this year you also won World RallyCross. RallyCross. You just finished second because of World Fastest Gamer, I think. You missed 2 rounds.
So I think I was able to do the first 2 rounds, starting I think 3 through 4 or 3 through 5 that I missed. We had World's Fastest Gamer going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So even though it was in California / Las Vegas, I still wasn't able to drive my rig. It was a 2-week thing that I was gone for. So unfortunately, I missed those rounds. But the other rounds that I was there for went super well. I think we were first in all except one of them where I got fourth. Maybe another got second. And we were less than a race behind in points by the end of it. So we got second in points. Yeah. So I was still pretty excited about that. But yeah, so close still. But
yeah. But even this year was not bad. I was 2 World Championships in GTE.
For sure.
Finished second behind Josh.
Yep.
It was a Coanda 1-2 there.
Yep.
Pretty nice for the team.
Yep.
Then obviously P2 in World RallyCross and then P4 in Porsche.
Mm-hmm.
So, also not a bad year.
No.
And then, after that, 2020. So
yes.
Now we're coming to the NASCAR.
Yep.
What did you make the decision to even give it a go?
Yeah. This is, honestly...
Was 3 Series not enough for you at that time? Or?
I always tell myself this. So I guess we take a step back real quick. You, Josh, for all of 2019... and I were spotting for Keegan Leahy, Bobby Zelensky, Chris Shearburn in eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And we were super new to, NASCAR stuff. So
I did it before because I was Philip Guys and
that's right, yeah.
And Heuer, they all tried to qualify for the series back in a long time ago.
Yep.
So we had a little bit of experience there.
Right. And I think or at least for me, I kind of just learned the sport spotting for Keegan as he went. And I'll be honest, I never took much interest in oval up until, spotting for him, seeing how the races were. I grew up watching NASCAR, at early ages. That's where my number comes from, 24. I was a Jeff Gordon fan and Jimmy Johnson, but we went with 24. Just, every now and then I would get Keegan kind of pushed me to be like, hey, you should try to qualify for this. And I was like, no, I don't have time. I don't want to, just kind of run around because I don't have time to practice. But really, it was just kind of a for fun thing. Road to Pro was starting in March or something like that of 2020. And it was just like we'll give it a try at Daytona, full throttle track, plate race, just see how it goes. If it starts off decently, maybe we'll just keep going. I had done a few official races and I actually thoroughly enjoyed the racing. Super different from road, where, that's always pretty much about just driving as fast as you can the whole time. Outside of an endurance event, you don't really have to save tires or, think about strategy too much. But the NASCAR thing was just so different. There was a way bigger emphasis on racecraft and kind of planning your moves way ahead of time with, saving tires so you can get this guy in 5 to 10 laps. I actually just really enjoyed that. Just completely different than road. It was a really refreshing thing for me. And, we tried it round 1 Daytona. Unfortunately, we got crashed out.
What a surprise.
For some reason, we, kept going into round 2. I was, learning setup work at the same time on oval, which is insanely complicated. I have so much respect for, guys like Keegan and Chris that, and Bobby that I know that they have such a insane understanding of setup knowledge or setup work in oval stuff. There are so many combinations to get right in that. And that was a big learning curve for me trying to learn that, but I feel like it's helped me tremendously for road going back, having a little bit of an edge with setting up the car and figuring out little things here and there. But yeah, no, just, did it for fun. Ran the season and put a lot of work into each round, and we ended up second in the Road to Pro in the truck series. It's a full year-long process to qualify in. So, we finished second in the whole thing. Had no idea that would happen. I was like, wow, I hope we can make the top 20.
I mean, we knew that you have the potential to do this, but obviously you should prove to yourself that you can do it. But yeah, 2020 was a very, very, eventful year with all the COVID pandemic that was going on.
For sure.
I remember that we were planning multiple times that you maybe jump on a plane to Germany, but it never really worked out because of travel restrictions and all that kind of stuff. But then there were also I remember the start of the season was very eventful, at least because I think NASCAR, the qualifier started. Then there was a race coming up, the Virtual Le Mans, where we were driving for Porsche. And then the Porsche Esports Supercup started at the same time, basically.
Yes.
And I think there you came to your limits.
I would say 2020 was by far the most difficult year in probably all of my racing, including real racing since I was 5. I had a lot of pressure to perform, and I had a lot of things to race. Like you said, everything kind of started at the same time. I also had some RallyCross invitational thing, I think you remember.
Yeah.
We had to do at the same time. So it was literally 3 to 4 pro level races per week at the start of the year. And unfortunately, I didn't really time manage my road racing properly. I would say Porsche took another huge step in terms of competition for 2020. People putting in 40 hours for the opening rounds. And, I start preparing for the first round on, 4 days before. It was not going to cut it. And
this was the second time where I realized that you are very, very angry, and it's better not to talk to you because you're close to exploding.
Yeah.
You were pretty close to selling your rig after the quality result, I guess.
I
for
think,
a brief moment at least.
Yeah. I think for me, it's I'm just ultra competitive. So I think that was kind of the start of where it's okay, I need to get my act together. I think the second round, Barcelona, I qualified 36 out of 40. And I was thinking to myself on my laps, this is pretty good, pretty clean lap. Should be all right. Hopefully top 20-ish. I didn't feel like I was super fast there, but it was if I could be midfield, it might be all right, can gain some points. And I look at the result, 36, and I'm oh no. And that was kind of the start of a big grind process to kind of get back in form.
Yeah.
I think I went the first 6 out of like the 10 rounds in like 28th place in points, just like not getting any points really.
Yeah, and even when you had a good race, I remember like Spa, then, I mean, with the car, it's no one's fault at the end of the day. You get just tapped because it's so close racing.
Sure.
But the result is gone.
Yep.
I remember, yeah, this was very tough in the beginning.
Yeah. Just a really frustrating year. Like, yeah, a lot of things went wrong. You know, I'm a firm believer in, you know, you make your own luck with things too. So, not just having enough speed to run 15th and getting a few points there, but, you know, I realized that I needed to be, you know, fighting for top fives. And if there is some bad luck, maybe it drops me back to 15th and I still get points rather than being dead last and just not getting any. So, I would say like the last 4 races were like, it finally started to click. You know, we started to have decent pace, getting some results.
Yeah, but even when the pace was good, I mean, the first 1 or 2 races with good speed were unlucky.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, I mean, we are now in 2021, and we are halfway through the season, and I think you have almost as many points as last year.
Yeah. It's crazy.
After like 4 rounds now.
Yeah.
So
it's honestly so crazy to think about, like the contrast in how last year started versus this year. It's complete opposite end of the spectrum. Like I found like the last 2 races, I've actually been a little bit disappointed being like 5th and 6th in the main races because you know, some small things happen. But like, man, if you told me that I would be, you know, running top 10, top 5-ish like regularly last year, like I would have been the happiest person ever. So it's crazy how things turn around quickly. Just, you know, I guess just putting in work. Of course, like, you know, making the trip out here finally to Germany, moving in with a bunch of hyper individuals like yourselves, and you know, very motivating. So I think it's just another testament to kind of the team dynamic that we all have. A very positive atmosphere, even when someone's having a bad year, like a few of the guys are having this year with Tommy and Ricardo and, you know, Dave. Just there's a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
But like, you know, everyone kind of helps pick each other up. There's a lot of people that helped me last year too, get my head right for, you know, getting back in form. And
that's what a team is for.
Exactly.
So, I mean, the good days are the good days. I mean, but you can celebrate, drink a beer, but then you have to work to have a next good day.
For sure.
Sadly, this almost takes a year to get the next beer, but yeah, that is what it is. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned it already. You're now moved to Germany into the team house. What would you change, or what do you think is the change for you personally, or like, how is it? I mean, is it? Yeah, where's the difference to like the last years where you were also already alone at home, but still very, very competitive and like, yeah, doing the same thing? I mean, what have changed?
Yeah, I think the cool part of being here is, you know, our job right now is full-time sim racers. You know, this is all we wake up really to do. I mean, we have other obligations, of course, social media and other content creation and our work on VRS. Putting out weekly data and things like that. But outside of that, I mean, we're fully focused on just performing the best we can for these races. So with that in mind, like, you can plan your weeks, you can plan, you know, each day, like every hour of the day accordingly. You know, we have, you know, a few of us that can cook meals for the other person. I'm not one of them. I don't know how to cook.
We will have a session this week. This is for sure.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah. Bolognese it is.
Yep. Sounds good. But, you know, with that said, like, you don't really have to think about too much else other than just performing on the track. So I would say, like, this is really where you can kind of get your peak performance, the maximum out of yourself for, you know, this stuff, because it is so high level nowadays. You really need to be so committed, especially when you're running so many different things. Like, we're not just running the Porsche Esports Supercup, we're in other games and, you know, Virtual Le Mans last year. That was a whole month-long project of just driving every day so much while we had to do Porsche, Esports Supercup and other things. So, you know, being able to commit that time on the regular to this stuff is instrumental for sure. And of course, like, the atmosphere here is amazing. Like, we're all like-minded, like we've kind of mentioned before.
Sometimes a little bit too much like.
Yeah, happens with anything.
Yeah, but this is then my problem. I'm too old. I'm getting too old for this. Yeah, no, cool. And then, yeah, I mean, then we have tomorrow. I mean, today is Sunday, but tomorrow there's another season starting, the eNASCAR series. You're driving there for, you're representing the colors of the number 23 car, Bubba Wallace, 2311 Racing.
Yep.
What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, super excited for that. Of course, teammates with Keegan Leahy, the one I was spotting for these last couple of years. Arguably, like, for me, like, he's in contention to win every single race. So, I mean, the fact that I get to be a teammate with him, of course, he's already in the Coanda kind of banner, so we've been teammates for a bit, but to be under the same kind of, I guess, branded team and the actual series is really cool. Of course, representing, 2311, it's a big honor. I mean, as a rookie coming in the series, like, I could not have asked for a better team to be a part of. Like, it's quite an honor. So I'm excited. A lot to learn in the car. Still, I need to put in a lot of work, which starts tonight, in fact. And yeah, it's going to be different with that too, because the races are at 3 a.m. now. California.
I mean, I'm used to it when I spot you every year.
Yep.
Every race, 3 o'clock. Tuesday nights.
Yep.
This time it's Monday. This changed a bit my natural clock, but I will come over it. It's no problem.
A little trade-off in California. And I was waking up at 3 a.m. for these Porsche races.
Yeah.
But now it's the other way for NASCAR. So, so
the good thing is we have now a good coffee machine
for sure
that keeps you awake.
Yes, sir.
And then. Yeah, and I think it's easier when we are two people that's staying up at night.
Definitely.
I mean, this was my problem last year after Josh stopped spotting you guys, that I was always awake alone.
Yep.
And like latest at midnight, you were like thinking everyone is on offline on TeamSpeak, Discord, no one is in the house awake.
Yep.
You can't be even like listen to music or whatsoever. This time it's better. We are with two.
I agree.
And I mean, we were a bit afraid of the ping in the beginning, but we realized that the Californian ping is not really worse than a German ping. Yeah,
honestly, I want to say it's identical. I think roughly it's about the same distance anyway from California to, the server in, I guess it's Boston, yeah. So that's really cool. Like, I was very worried about that. Didn't change a thing. So that'll be pretty cool now. We're going to have a fun journey all year together, staying up very late or waking up very early for these. So
when the summertime comes, we have an hour less to wait till the race starts. So.
That's true. That'll be nice. Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, cool. I think, the introduction took a bit longer than expected. So I think we should stop here. I mean, you will not run away. We will have plenty of episodes. Thank you, first of all, to do this with me. And then, thank you guys for listening to this point. If you want or mind, share, like, subscribe, or whatsoever. I don't know where it's even released on what platforms. But, thank you for listening, and have a good night.